Welcome to another episode of Framework for the Family. I'm Bomani Taihimba. I'm here with my co-hosts, Zeke Adams, Brian Howard, and we are the hosts of Framework for the Family. And we're going to continue with those. We've been talking the last time about bad behaviors and how they affect the family. And I think we went over selfishness, unforgiveness, I think lack of communication. And we just want to continue because there's some other bad behaviors that we want to dive into. So we also want you to subscribe, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and give us some comments so that we get some feedback. So we thank you all for joining our podcast, and we really appreciate the feedback that we are getting.
Yeah.
So today, guess what the topic is? What bad behavior?
What is it, Bomani?
It is lying and deceit.
Oh, Lord.
Lying and deceit.
That's a good one.
Yes, it's a very good one.
It's a combo.
It's a combo. Yeah, it's like two branches off of the same tree.
Yeah.
All right.
I would throw manipulation in there, but you.
That's deceitful.
Yeah, you.
Yeah.
Shut me down from that. We're not throwing that one.
No, we can dive into that as well. So I'm going to give you like to start off with a scripture, and then just an overview of the topic today. And Colossians 3:9 says, "Do not lie to each other, since you have taken off your old self with its practices. And dishonesty erodes trust. And dishonesty erodes trust, which is a cornerstone of a healthy family." Trust is a cornerstone of a healthy family. So, Brian, you want to start this off, this topic of bad behaviors and how it can negatively impact the family, lying or deceit?
Man, it's, as you were already alluding to, they really go together. There's no separating them.
Right.
So it's and deceit.
Lying or deceit.
Yeah.
Lying or deceit, lying and deceit.
Or it's kind of splitting them.
Right.
I think lying
but
and
they
deceit.
do. I think they do come together. I mean, if you're lying, then I think the intent is to deceive. Right. So now you can deceive, and this is what we were talking about earlier. You can deceive potentially without lying. So we still need to cover that. But let's just kind of define that for a second. I mean, a lot of times people think about lying, and we tend to go directly to the words that we speak. And you say, well, I didn't lie. I didn't say that. I didn't. Okay. But lying, for me, and I think the Bible supports that lying is more about intentions than it is the words you actually say. If you seek to mislead or deceive, you're guilty either way.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not about you can deceive with your lips closed, saying not a word. You can deceive people. And so if it is your intent to deceive, that's where we get hung up. I think it's also worth mentioning that you could potentially mislead somebody or say something that is not true, even if you didn't mean to, right? And in that case, I wouldn't say somebody was guilty of lying, but they certainly didn't tell the truth.
Okay.
Right? So if I just had the wrong information and I told you that information,
right.
I get what you're saying.
Right.
I didn't intend to deceive you, but I did not tell you the truth.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So intent, I think, is a critical factor here in examining lying and deceit.
Yeah. I think lying is willful.
Yeah.
You know, you set in your mind, I'm going to tell this thing, I'm going to say something that is untrue. You have an intent, and then you're intentional about doing it. So that to me is what lying is. You said in your mind, I'm just going to lie. You know, I mean, just to be basic. Hey, did you eat those cookies? No.
Right.
Knowing you got knowing that you ate those cookies. Crumbs all over the face.
Right.
But that's hey, I'm just not going to tell the truth.
Yeah.
So that deceit can come in, and I think deceit can be intentional too.
Yeah.
Okay, it can be intentional by leaving out information, leaving out all of the stories, leaving out all of the details of whatever is going on in both of them, lying or deceit. lying and deceit can be harmful. You know, you shouldn't lie to your spouse. You shouldn't lie to your children. Children shouldn't lie to their parents. I mean, it just breaks down the whole family structure when a family should be built on trust, and when lies come in, it can be harmful to the family situation.
So what you're saying is that someone that is intentionally deceitful, okay, can a person be wanting to get married, wanting to have a family, but they have a problem of lying? Do you think that that person would eventually destroy the home because of that problem of not being honest or not telling the truth?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Are you talking about a habitual liar?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's willful. I mean, that's intentional. Absolutely, it's going to have a negative impact. It's going to pop up somewhere along the line that's going to negatively impact the marriage, negatively impact the family. You know, whether it's a blended family, you have either one of you have children, you will have a blended family situation, or if you're in you don't have any children, and then now children come in, and now you have a family, a husband, a wife, children, and then this spouse has been a habitual liar. It's not going to be good. Not at all.
Okay. Yeah. So I agree. I definitely agree. I think that in a relationship, and that's what we're talking about, we talk about people or a person that might have a personality of deceitful, a personality of lying. Those are strong characteristics that is going to weaken family values, family trust. It's going to weaken communication. It's going to enhance selfishness because you're knowing that you're doing it. Okay. There are things about lying and being deceitful that not just saying, oh, this is a lying and deceitful person, but lying and being deceitful can actually go in and break down the molecules of a relationship, because now you have trust issues. And when you have trust issues, that can vary over into different subjects of the relationship. Whether it's, did you pay the bills on time? Yeah? Well, how come we got this notice saying that it wasn't paid? Well, maybe it was them. Maybe they did something wrong. Maybe they did. Knowing that the person that gets to a point where that particular person who's being lied to is now, it's almost like a yin and yang. Now, if you have a lying and deceitful behavior, now you got a person who's not going to trust you. And then now that person is dealing with trust issues. So you're creating two problems. Now, let's say, you know what? I lied. I'm sorry. I didn't pay the bills. I lied to you about it.
Yes.
Now that person is going to be checking that bill. He's going to be looking at that.
She.
And they're going to be in an area of questioning your authority as a person, which that spawns into another situation. So lying and deceitful, I say it really is so structurally damaging. People can make mistakes, like you said earlier, of saying, hey, you know what? This is the information that I got. This is true to me, and I'm relaying it, but it wasn't the right thing. Even saying something like that, the person who even gave them the wrong information, and they found out, hey, you know, even though I thought this was right because I was told this,
right,
but it was wrong. Apologize. I apologize for giving you the wrong information. Sorry about that. I mean, this is what I got. Sorry about that. That is another factor of someone who might not be in an area of being correct with their statement, but not deceitful. You know?
Yeah, intent.
They're not intent.
That was not their intent to mislead or be deceitful. They're just passing on wrong information.
So, I think in a marriage, especially Christian marriages, being in a marriage with someone that might have a deceitful behavior, how do you think what do you do with that? I mean, do you call them out? Because a person who is lying and deceitful do not like to be called out. Okay? One thing about sin is that you don't want to be uncovered. Okay? So, hey, you know what? I checked the bill. They told me you didn't pay. They even called you and you said you wasn't going to pay. And now you're telling me that you paid? You know? Why do you lie? What, you calling me a liar?
Well, you know what? I think you hit it right there. I think, why is it possible, if there's a way possible for you to try to uncover why they're lying? Like, I mean, there's a lot of reasons. I mean, people have all sorts of motivations for lying, but let's just take children, for example. Most of the time they lie because they just don't want to face up to the consequences. Yeah. Like, look, mom or dad looks upset. I didn't do that.
Yeah.
No. Or I don't want to be reprimanded. I don't want to hear the, what they're talking to. Sometimes lectures can be more damaging than corporal punishment.
So, I mean, look at it. And now with children, it's a slightly different dynamic. But if you're dealing with another adult, and let's just say they feel that way, they know how you are. You exact. And when they're like, oh, I don't want to hear this again. Yeah, I did it. Yeah. And then you find out it wasn't. And then there you go, being that person that they were trying to avoid. I'm not saying that they're right for lying, but maybe there's a dynamic that can be adjusted. And so for our side, we try to figure out why it is they're lying, if there's something that could be adjusted to make them more comfortable, just saying the truth, just saying they messed up.
For kids?
And then move, for the adult, for your partner. Is there something you could do for that?
So I would say this. Lying and deceit is a sticky topic. Because if you lie and deceit, it's very hard for someone to be able to communicate with you directly and for you to understand that you might have a problem, or you might have a situation where one lie will spawn into another lie. Okay, and what God says about lying, I think it gets to a point where a person who starts lying, they have to start covering. You're covering lies.
Sure.
So to be able to sit down with someone, like you were saying, let's talk about working in a way of trying to. Why are you lying? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing it? I think it's, to me, and even talking with people, it's very hard for them to see. Sometimes they don't see that they might have deceitful behaviors. Okay? But it's very hard for people to get to those type persons, whether it's a man or female.
And I don't disagree with you. I'm just offering it, like, so you look at it this way, you can try to uncover the root of the problem. But if you say, for whatever reason, that's too much, I mean, what are you left with? You're going to end this relationship. Because you can't, how long can you last in a relationship where you know that they're lying and being deceitful? How long can you can't, really. So you have to do something to try to address the root of the issue. If not, where do we go from here?
So I'm gonna bring this home. Have you ever lied before?
Let me see.
Oh, Lord.
Of course I have.
Have you ever lied before?
Yeah.
I've lied too.
Yeah.
And the thing about lying, to me personally, is this. When you are not honest, you feel bad.
True.
Because you know that the circumstances could have been dealt with maturely, and it could have been dealt with and over with. But now, since you lied, that situation is still right there. Even though the other party might not know about it.
Yeah.
Every time you go to sleep, every time you wake up, that subject matter that you lied about
is out there.
It's right there.
It's sort of like
It's lingering.
Uneasiness and a fear.
But you know what?
It might even come to light. I might be found out.
I might be found out.
What's going to happen when I found out?
Yeah. So, me personally, it doesn't work. And I've actually experienced that so many times. It just does not work in the home. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work, period. On the job, it does not work. And God is going to reveal the lie, not today, might not be tomorrow, but eventually it's going to be revealed. And I've realized I can't get around it. Mm-hmm. It's better to just say, you know what?
Take ownership.
Yeah,
whatever it is.
But mine, when you walk in, that snowball bust you in the back of the head, and
you the only one behind me.
Yeah, and I said, man, I don't know who. I came out the sky or something, and I said, well, Bomani, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. It was me who threw that snowball.
Yeah.
And then we can, whatever you mad, you might be upset. But Zeke, why you do that? Mm-hmm. We can talk it out, and you know what? It's gone. Mm-hmm. But when you lie and you think you get away with it, you never do. Mm-hmm. And I've dealt with people, children. I've dealt with people who you can see they're just agonizing.
Right.
they look so. My son would say something to me, and I know he's lying.
Yeah.
No, he's lying. And then I'll look at him. Man, he's just miserable because that lie just beating him up. I say, is there anything you want to tell me? No. He walk around next day. Are you sure there's anything you want to tell me for what we talked about? Yeah, Dad. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember when I told you I didn't do that? Yeah, it was me. And I'm like, man, you don't have to, I'm glad you told me, and but here's your punishment. Mm-hmm. But he is ready to receive the punishment. Yeah. And he's ready to get it past him and move on. Mm-hmm. So I just think that, in my own experience, when you are not honest, it weighs a heavy toll on you personally. Mm-hmm. Okay? Not just the family.
You personally.
Yeah. You personally.
You know what? And I think, again, no argument. What I would like to say is, how can we address that, though? Is there a way to address that? Like, I mean, everything you said is on point. Mm-hmm. The question for me, though, is, like you said, how it weighs on you. It really does get worse as time goes by. Yeah. And the issue is, for a lot of people, is, okay, if you don't address it in that moment, that issue, whatever it is, in that moment, it gets worse tomorrow, and it gets worse. And and if nowhere else but in your mind, the problem goes larger and larger. And the bigger the problem seems, the less you're going to want to address it. And it's going to be killing you, but you don't want to, because why did you wait? You did that a month ago. Why are you just now telling me? You know you're going to hear that. You know it's coming, and you just like.
But is it better for you to just go ahead and let that?
Well, here's the thing. You're right. I agree with you, but how many people are rationally thinking about it?
And that's what I'm saying too. Mm-hmm. How many people?
Because if we were all thinking about it rationally, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
True that. I agree. I think
so. How can we help that person? Like,
yeah. Help us.
Yeah. I don't. So this is a tough conversation because when you talk to people, and they're saying, well, my therapist said this about my wife, or my therapist, I talked to my wife about my therapist, and they agree that, we should separate or get a divorce or whatnot. And I'm hearing this in the back of my mind. I'm like, did you tell the therapist everything? Does the therapist know everything?
Right.
Because I talked to your spouse. And that story that you're telling me is not what the spouse is saying. Mm-hmm. So I agree with you, because we can actually, let me stop using manipulation, but we can actually lie and deceit to people who are trying to help us. Mm-hmm. And they can't help us.
Because they don't know the full truth.
Because they don't know the full truth. Mm-hmm. It went as far as someone of saying that this person was abusive. And that, an incident that happened with this person, with this couple, where it was a woman. She got upset and she lunged at her husband, and he decided, "Hey, you're not going to do this to me." And he grabbed her and told her to stop. That was something that led to him being in jail.
Really?
Right. Because he put his hands on her. And I mean, I'm just being honest. This is what happens in the real world. You know how things happen. And so he was in jail, and things got worse, and they wound up getting a separation, not divorce, but a separation agreement. And they were trying to work it out. And I explained to him, about anger, which we're going to be going there, and her about deception. Okay. And it was very hard to communicate with someone that has that ability to deceive or lie. Because when you tell them, well, you wasn't telling the truth. Well, he did it.
But you didn't tell the whole story.
Right,
there you
go.
Everything.
Everything. You left out some details. You left out the details that I lunged.
Yeah.
And his reaction was to not so much grab, even though it's a grab, it was really to diffuse the situation so that I wouldn't harm him.
Yeah.
So
that word omit, and that was
Yes.
that omitting information.
Omitting information.
Yeah.
Well, he
That's
shouldn't have did
deception.
that.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have did that. And you know what? There has been other times where, and come to find out, and the first time she's lunged at him. And people have actually seen this situation. They've seen her anger. She has some anger issues. And that is swept up under the rug when she talked to a therapist. Well, the therapist said I should get a divorce because no man should put their hands on you. And not just that scenario, it vice versa. Men lie, having other relationships, lying about it. And when it comes down, they lie. You're talking to them. Hey, what is the problem? Is it something that's self-esteem? What is it? They're so deceptive that you can never get to the root of the problem. So it's very difficult. I think that's one of probably the most difficult things when you're dealing with or trying to work on solutions to get help for someone, and to understand that they have to be transparent. They have to be honest. And if they have a problem with that, it's very difficult for that relationship to sustain or survive in that type of environment. Very difficult. And, if you're in a relationship that might be the case of whether it's the spouse or even if it's you, I would say understanding what God is asking you to do. I will go back, and this is my word I've been using ever since I heard that sermon: accountability. God is asking for all of us accountability. So if you have a deceitful or a deceitful personality, a lying personality, ask God for accountability of who you should be in your marriage, with your children, with your spouse, and to use that stepping stone of accountability to change that personality of lying and deceit. I don't think it can be done easily with counseling. I think that's an internal thing between that person and God.
I think that's a key point there is pray church. You know what I mean?
That's what?
Pray church.
Yeah.
Like bring God into this, because
Yeah.
I think to your point, on the other side, if your spouse is lying or they have this tendency or to lie or be deceitful, like you said, you're going to have a lot of problems addressing that. But I think the only thing really feasible to do is to literally just bring God into this situation, ask him to help you. I think one of the key things that you can try to do is ask God to help you figure out what factors you're contributing to this, if any. I mean, because like we said before, it's not your fault that they're lying. That blame can't be placed on you. But there might be things that you could do or change to make it easier for them
to be truthful,
to come forward and be truthful. And I know a lot of people take that, well, I shouldn't have to do X, Y, and Z. I said, well, do you want to end your relationship or not? So how much further are you willing to go to come together with your spouse? So if there's things you can adjust, despite the fact that it's them who's lying and not you, are there things you can adjust to make this situation better or easier for them to start making changes? And that's between you and God, but like you said, this is not an easy one to deal with.
Yeah, you might have to even deal with how you respond when you find out there's a lie that's been told. And if your response is anger, browbeating, or demeaning the person, and in their minds, see, that's why I didn't want to tell you the truth, because I knew you was going to go off and start talking about this, that, and the other. It's not like you're a perfect person. So, yeah. Well, you have to create I always say, you're going to have to create a safe environment in your house, in your household, between you and your spouse, between you and your children, so that when a lie is discovered, maybe you need to count to 10 or 20 if you're a hothead and your thing is, I'm going to go off and I'm really going to dig in because the line is wrong or what have you. Yeah, but for them, they don't want to hear your angry words. They don't want to hear the way that you process it. So you've got to have a safe environment in your household. I think lying. Hold on. Let me also say this. I think lying it's probably some another issue going on.
True that.
Because I mean it's well, I always say it's been said that if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember what you said.
There, it don't matter.
When you lie, to keep up the lie, the only way you can keep up the lie is to lie more.
There you go. Work. You gotta cover to cover.
Yeah, right. You gotta cover to cover and keep on covering. And sooner or later, you're gonna forget. And I'm like, this stuff is not adding up because the last time they told me this. So I mean, it's better to be truthful and be adult enough, or a child. If you're dealing with a child, just be big enough. You know what? If this lie is discovered, there's going to be some consequences.
Yeah, and I want to jump on what you were saying about a safe place. So I agree. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say you should not have a safe place. We're going to go back to the Bible of a man being the head of the household. You should have a safe place for your family to be in. Whether it's the man or the woman. If you have someone that lies and is deceitful, that automatically disrupt the home. Now, the person that is being lied to, I agree. I think that person should say, hey, it's okay. Let's talk about it. Let's work it out. Let's pray about it. But as we know, saints, that's not.
It's easier said than done.
We're just saying that we know it's not as easy.
Here's what you can do though, because
so we ain't gonna be sitting up here. We ain't gonna lie and deceive you. It's not that easy. And you have to be prayed up, and you have to understand the person who's being lied to. I say the same thing. Pray.
Let's take small steps though, because I want to make this practical because it is a difficult thing. Number one, but for me personally, I deal with my daughter. And in the past, she has had this issue of lying. And just because I see it, she just doesn't want to face up to the consequences.
Yeah.
But I also know how I am. And boy, lying is my pet peeve. I'm going through the roof. Okay. So the number one thing I need to do, first off, is just not yell. Let's start there. Let's start there. I'm not changing any punishment. I'm not changing any accountability. I'm not going. You're gonna have to go back and do what X, Y, Z that I told you to do. All that's gonna stay. I'm just not gonna yell.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start there. Control the volume of my voice. Control my demeanor when I'm coming at you. I say, okay. And to your point, we say it's okay. It's not okay. Mm-hmm. But I don't have to yell at you about it.
True.
You see what I mean?
True.
It's not okay what you just did. But I want to teach you, and this for my children. I want to teach you how to be an adult. Mm-hmm. So I got to be an adult, don't I?
Right. You have to be.
Let me stop screaming. Stop yelling. Stop. Okay. Let me talk to you like I would want you to talk to somebody else. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a very basic step. That's step one. Mm-hmm. But grown folk can't do this.
And you're right. I have a bad habit and I'm not blaming my parents, but my parents was yellers. They used to yell, "Get your behind in here. Didn't I tell you to?" And I grew up with that, and now that I'm a parent, I'm like, get here and wash these dishes. Mm-hmm. I told you two times, and my voice is raised. Mm-hmm. And you are exactly right, Brian. It does not teach them as a soft voice would teach them. Or
I don't even feel like you got to be a soft voice. Hey man, you lied.
Right.
You know,
I get what you're saying. Not as a hey man. I get that what you're saying, but to a point where they can hear a stern voice without the extra, without the extra yelling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The extra stuff of being angry. They see that your veins is bulging out. They're more timid.
Yes.
And not understanding or saying, hey, it's way more than, getting a lesson learned from this. Mm-hmm. It's now more of you are now degrading almost like their ability to be able to understand what they did wrong. Yeah. So
you just gave us a great segue into the next topic. Angry and harsh words. Angry and harsh words. So we've been talking about lying and deceit, framework for the family, and we've come to the conclusion it's a difficult subject. But one is we know that lying can erode trust in the family. Mm-hmm. Whether you're lying to your spouse, whether you're lying to your children, or the children are lying to their parents, lying really has no place in a family setting. Lying has no place in a marriage setting between husband and wife. So the best thing is tell the truth. Tell the truth. You know what? The truth may hurt, but it doesn't kill you. So
truth may set you free.
The truth will set you free. And we're going to pick up on our next topic in our next segment, harsh words.
Yeah.
Because when we are the ones who've been lied to, we can either respond with harsh words and anger, or we can be rational. So let's pick that topic up on our next segment of Framework for the Family. I'm Bomani Taihimba. This is my host, Zeke Adams, Brian Howard. See you the next time.
And please like and subscribe
and comment.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.